Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. I got my thumb drive from Allen County Courts, and I listed a whole bunch of different things that I wanted for exhibits. And the only thing that I got were the flybys and so forth. You know, when you're just going down the path, and we have better versions of that ourselves. But these are exhibits from trial, and I don't know if I got anything different than what's out there currently. I did get this PDF file here that has a whole bunch of different information, little aerials and so forth. So, I mean, there's this one. It talks about the Hoosier Harvest Store, the abandoned CPS building, the Freedom Bridge, and this is apparently where the crime scene's right there. We have that same location. Just straight down from the cemetery. They have it more right here though, and it's never made sense to me because when there was a person that went down and videotaped it down here, the yellow tape is right here and right there, but the GPS coordinates they had it in a document are right here, and that doesn't seem to be accurate. I think it's right there. But in their documents, they have that information, and that seems to line up with this right here. Then we have this image, the cemetery right there, and this being down here kind of matches mine a little bit better because it's straight off the center of the cemetery and off to the right. If we go here, go down from the cemetery and off to the right. I mean, that one's slightly off to the right, but this one more matches what that says. So let's continue on. And this is where, they did a diagram of where Abby and Libby were found. And I put the diagram on Google Earth, so it was something, similar to this. North is that direction. So there's that image. This is Betsy Blair's Fitbit. You can see right in this time frame getting there. I think these are 15-minute intervals. So this would be 2 o'clock, 2:45. Betsy Blair got there at 2:46. So that's where you see a bunch of walking there. And then in the final minutes before she left, she walked even further because she walked all the way down to the Freedom Bridge and then back to her car. So that matches Betsy Blair's movements there. Now this vehicle right here is Betsy Blair getting there around noon. That's her car right there. And that car looks absolutely nothing like a black Ford Focus. So let's continue through these images. And this is Betsy Blair leaving at 1:15. This time up here isn't correct. They had to adjust it it was inaccurate, so they adjusted for the actual time. And it's 1:15 where she's heading west on 300, going towards the abandoned CPS building. All right, and then this is Betsy Blair coming back at 1:46. I think she went to the bathroom at the library, if I remember correctly. And here she is coming back, and she's going to park and then go for her walk. And that's her vehicle right back there. Let me zoom in so you can see it. Guess we'll have to zoom back out again. At 1:49, that's Kelsey's car driving by after just dropping off Abby and Libby. And there it is right there, her white vehicle. And so you got all these nut jobs out there that say Kelsey had something to do with it. Well, there she is driving away. All right, does that make any sense to you? You guys are absolutely crazy people. Gosh, Gray, you're so mean. No, I think you guys are absolutely barbaric morons for going after the family in this case. All right, anyways, right here, that's 1:49, and the car's driving away. And then at 2:18 and 59 seconds, there is Betsy Blair's vehicle leaving for the last time. And as we know, based on the timing, right at the end of the bridge here was 2:14, and then the girls were taken across. So the girls are probably right down below here at about the time that Betsy Blair is driving away. The camera that's filming all of those shots is right here. In fact, it's right next to this slab of cement right here, filming this direction. And different vehicles drive by at different times. And what we were just seeing is Betsy Blair's vehicle. Here's that slab of cement. And that's Betsy Blair's vehicle. And then, so this vehicle right here is Sarah Carbaugh. Now, if you believe what Sarah Carbaugh said, that she saw an individual, then just a few hundred yards down to the west, or I guess to the east if you were flipping it around in the correct orientation. So here is the correct orientation right there. So Sarah Carbaugh is driving by right here. There's the camera, driving by right here, and she says somewhere right around in this area she passed a bridge guy who looks just like Richard Allen. So at 3:57, right here, she sees him. Now, I think that Sarah Carbaugh, when she was driving by, as she stated, if this is all a real event, she did drive by right then, and she did see a bunch of people standing here. So she does remember that. So it gives credibility to what she saw next. She said she drove by this direction and passed a guy that was muddy and bloody. Now, Richard Allen likely could see that there was a bunch of cars gathering as well and left and went over here. Now, the Sarah Carbaugh story isn't incredibly valuable to the case. Richard Allen is bridge guy, and the thing is, even the bullet, Sarah Carbaugh, those kind of things aren't really important to the case. They add a little bit of context, etc., but Richard Allen is bridge guy, and that's all you really need to know. I've gone over and made so many videos on proving that he's bridge guy that I'm not going to do it here. You can go back and find those ones. All right, go back to this PDF file. Now this is, they put an image of bridge guy. We've already seen that 1,000 times. This is the image taken of Abby on the bridge. We have clear versions of that out there. So perhaps some of these are even clear in their own version that they have. So here is the first of a series of images. I thought there was only 3 of them. So that is Richard Allen's black 2016 Ford Focus hatchback. All right, go down to the next one. That was at 127.35 as it's showing up. Now, I came up with a route. Everybody seems to be using it these days, but I came up with a route a long time ago where Richard Allen came in from the east heading west, and the way he went was drive up like this and around down in this direction and then headed north right here, and I'll give you the road name. So this is West 200 North from his house, and then heads north on North 450 West, and then makes its way right here to West 300 North. And that's the same road that the cemetery is on. That's the same road that the abandoned CPS building is on, Mears property, and where the car is parked, etc. So West 300 North drove this direction, went over the Wilson Bridge, came around like this, and then in this location here, you have to take a left to stay on West 300 North. Then there you go, you pass the cemetery, the Mears property, the Hoosier Harvest Store, and then he parked right here at the abandoned CPS building. And so this is the vehicle driving towards the abandoned CPS building. There it is again right there. And then here it is again. These are just seconds apart. I mean, this one's 127.37. This one's 127.36. Right there. Go down to the next one. And this is the one that they used as a close-up. They felt like it had the best view of it. And then there it is driving off in that direction. So I guess if we count these, how many have they got? One. Let's go back up to the top. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's 6. I think I actually have about 8 or 9. 7. There it goes. 8. And then 9. And apparently they have a 10th. So there it is leaving the screen. So 10 individual still frames. Now that house complex right there and that telephone pole that you can see are right here. This is the telephone pole, and that house is right here. And if you go back to the image, you can see how this part of the house is back set a little bit. This part comes out, and then there's a building that's perpendicular. So if you go look at the Google Earth from above, this building's perpendicular, this part's set back, and that's the part that's forward. So that's the building you see. So the only distance we see is from right here to like right over here somewhere. Like it's just getting to here. So all of those images, all 10 of them, are from right here to right there in a really short distance. So the vehicle that they're using is the time frame of 127:38, and you can see it right there. It's really much clearer. You can see the reflection. And so what I did, like I said in another video, is I purchased a 3D model, not an image. I purchased a 3D model that I can manipulate and move around, and I put it into a program called 3D Studio Max. I use the correct time and date. There's actually a light that represents the sun, time, date, location, and then I took a map and put it into my program 3D Studio Max, and this is it right here. As you can see, I put the camera right there next to that slab that comes out. There's the parking area that you see, and then there is the black Ford Focus 2016 hatchback, and then that's what it looks like. There's the telephone pole right over there, and that's what it looks like. And it looks pretty accurate even. I mean, look at the driveway that goes out. That's the side of the building. I used a pretty wide camera angle, 76 degrees, to sort of mimic one of these security cameras a little bit. And you can see that it's, you know, this car looks pretty small in the background. And there it is. There's the telephone pole. And let's go back. You can see how you can see the driveway going off to the side. There's the vehicle, and there's the telephone pole. And then I rendered it out. And then in Photoshop, I took the image that they had in the document, the one that they zoomed in on. I believe it's at the bottom down here. Let's keep going. So one of their exhibits was this image right here. And they also have photos of the vehicle in the parking lot, etc. So it's pretty, that one's a really good one here. Let's zoom out of that a little bit. I mean, that shows you exactly what the profile looks like, matches my 3D model perfectly. And so this one right here is the one that they have in the document, and it looks just like Richard Allen's vehicle. So I rendered this image out, and then I went into Photoshop and I placed the image on top of the image from the document. Now this is a new overlay that I'm doing right now because I've got a closer up shot that law enforcement had that's a little clearer than if we zoomed in. And then I rendered it out, and as you can see, the top of the car is lit on the top and then shiny on the back window. And if I remove it, there it is. I mean, if you can't tell that that's an absolute, just a perfect match for a black Ford Focus 2016, I don't know what else I can say. All right, let's get to the opacity here. I'm going to just slowly turn it on and off. So this is the original image given by law enforcement. And then I'm slowly putting it on there. Look at that. Can you see any part of that that doesn't look like it's the same type of vehicle? I mean, it's absolutely incredible. All right, just slowly back on and off. And now I'll blink it on and off again. I mean, I even took time to make sure I had the right angle so that the tire separation is the same, if you can see that. So look at that. All right, so in the comments section, let me know what you think. I think this absolutely is 100% a match, and I was on a show with Barbara McDonald, and she kept saying, well, there's all kinds of other cars that look just like it. Well, this image here is at 127, close to 128. And Richard Allen said he got there at 1:30 and left at 3:30. So what are the odds that another vehicle looking just like his, when there's actually only one black Ford Focus in the entire town, what do you think the odds are that another car that kind of looks just like it, that another manufacturer makes, just happened to be driving around right at that time when he said he was going there? I think Richard Allen drove that back way to hide the fact that he was there, make it look, he knew what he was going to be doing that day. I think this route that he took, this back route, even implies more that he was aware that Abby and Libby were going to be there. He knew he was going to be successful, or at least he really had a good idea that they were going to be there. And I think he drove this back way to not be seen on surveillance cameras, drove up here and then around and made his way in this direction, going through the town. There might be surveillance cameras by this gas station, for example. Different places would have shown him driving by. So he came in from the back way, parked his vehicle here, and as you remember, he gets out of his car, he passes 3 girls here, he admits to seeing them, and they saw him, and they said the person they saw was Bridge Guy. Then he walks this direction. It takes, so he parks at about 129, takes about 4-5 minutes to get to here, 4 minutes, let's say, and takes 11 minutes to walk to the bridge. So he got to the bridge at about 1:44, right here. Okay, and so he passed those 3 girls, and they saw him, and he saw them. Then when Kelsey, just remember that picture we just saw, she came by at 1:49 right here. But if you remember, Betsy Blair drove by here at 1:46. And so she got out of her car probably 2.5 minutes prior. We can actually go up here and get the precise timing. So let's see, which right there, that's Betsy Blair coming back. There's Kelsey at 1:49:06, so almost exactly 1:49 when it's driving by. So it probably left the Mears parking area at like 1:48 and 50 seconds. And then this one's the Betsy Blair driving in, and she is seen at 1:46 and 20 seconds. So the timing difference there is about, let's just say, roughly 2.5 minutes. So Betsy Blair would have parked probably right around 1:46:45. And then we have Libby driving away, so 1:48:50. So only about 2 minutes separation between when Betsy got out of her car and when Abby and Libby got out of the vehicle. So Betsy Blair comes over to here, gets out of her vehicle, and starts walking. She's there to exercise. She's moving quick. The girls get there at 1:48:50 or so, right here. And they start walking, but they're just slowly walking, taking pictures, etc. So Betsy Blair makes up some ground on them, and we know for certain that she did see the girls when she was turning back, because we just proved right there that both of those vehicles were seen. So Betsy Blair walks this direction, and then she makes it to the bridge, and when she's there, she sees Richard Allen, who says that he was standing on platform 1, and that's the incident. Obviously, in the interrogation when his wife came in, she kept saying, well, you didn't tell me you were on the bridge, and he was like, I did, okay, forget it, and he just, what a absolute guilty moment that was. So after Betsy Blair gets here, I have at 1:53, that's the timing that I've had up here for I don't know, year and a half, something like that. Betsy Blair's right there at 1:53, turns around, walks this direction, and passes Abby and Libby at about 1:57. Then Abby and Libby would get to the bridge probably at 2:01, something like that. And that means they have to run into Richard Allen, who was standing on platform 1. Now, I think Richard Allen gave them space, made them feel comfortable, allowed them to walk across the bridge, Because after all, he isn't the guy the girls are there to see. And he's just pretending he's just some random person. And he walks back the trail a little ways. Then the girls make their way across the bridge, and maybe they're two-thirds of the way across, and there goes Richard Allen following quickly from behind and catches up with them on the back side of the bridge. And we've all seen the video. Catches up with them right over here, and then forces the girls down the hill, and then he killed them over here, and this is where their bodies were found, on this side of the creek. All right, so I am, as I've always been, 100% certain that Richard Allen is the killer, not to mention all the confessions, etc. And that vehicle is Richard Allen's 2016 black Ford Focus. And if you want to do mental gymnastics and try to make it another vehicle, you go right ahead, but it is not. All right, so thank you all very much for watching. Leave a comment in the comments section and let me know what you think. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.